though, for them. Really talented player, and they followed that up by signing 40-year-old Bartolo Colon to a $20 million contract. Colon coming off a fantastic year as well. The Diamondbacks acquired Mark Trumbo in a 3-team deal with the Angels, who received highly touted prospect Tyler Skaggs, and the White Sox received center fielder Adam Eaton in that deal as well. The most highly touted free agent of this class, Robinson Cano, agreed to a deal with the Seattle Mariners, who for many years were not a contender, but they are on their way up. And with that deal, the free agent market went down a lot, and it just went down a little more because the Yankees responded to those deals by losing Granderson Cano by signing Carlos Beltran, who had a great postseason and was unfortunately unable to come away with that World Series title. But the Yankees make a big deal. Of course, some other minor deals. The former Dodger Mark Ellis to the Cardinals. The Braves are close to signing Gavin Floyd. Mike Pelfrey signs a 2-year deal with the Twins. Juan Uribe resigns with the Dodgers. And James Loney agrees to a deal with the Rays. Oh, and also, David Ortiz and the Red Sox are also discussing a 1-year extension. So, Blake, what are your thoughts on some of these deals, as it has been fast and furious in the first couple of weeks of the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, it was last week. It was the Yankees getting all their new players as usual. Come this time of year, they didn't make that many moves last year, but boy, they're spending the dime quick in New York. Especially now, you have the Mets across town making a big move by getting that signing of, obviously, a former Yankee, Curtis Granderson. That's a huge move, but also a huge gamble, in my opinion, is Bartolo Colon getting signed to a $20 million contract. He is in his 40s, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Noah, but that is a gamble. When you're paying somebody that much money when they're that old and you're playing a sport where you have to be in peak condition every single day, 162 games in the season in Major League Baseball, that is a huge gamble in my opinion. And then all the other moves, Mark Trumbo for the D-backs, that's a good move for them. He's a very good player that played on the Angels last season, but big moves all around baseball. Robinson Cano's deal, obviously the biggest one, $200 million, making him one of the highest paid players in the league, if not the highest. Rumor has it that he did want to play on the Yankees and re-sign, but they just could not work out a contract agreement, and he left kind of disappointed that the Yankees could not make him the offer that he wanted, but just a ridiculous amount of money, and in my opinion, a little greedy from him. Noah, what did you think of that?
Well, really quickly, I just want to talk about the Mets signing Bartolo Colon. You said it was a risk, correct?
I did say it was a risk.
So, first of all, I'd like to say that last year, he was suspended, remember, for 50 games because of testing positive for steroids. So that makes it even more of a risk. Even though he had a phenomenal year last year, you are right. Once you hit your 40s, it does start to hit a downhill, and I don't expect... You even saw it with Jamie Moyer. Just a phenomenal career up until that point, and then he hit his 40s and slowly but surely hit that downhill.
Yeah, so lots of risky moves out there in baseball, and lots of money just getting spread out all around for all of those off-season acquisitions and those free agents during the holidays. So big paychecks getting handed out right now in baseball.
Yeah, and you were talking about the Trumbo deal as well, and one of the big things is the team that took the least risk was the White Sox. They know what they're getting. They know they're getting Adam Eaton. He's a good player, consistent center fielder. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Angels receive Tyler Skaggs, who is really good. He has a lot of potential, but he also has the potential to be a bust. On the other side of the trade, you have Mark Trumbo, who is obviously played great last year, but at times he struggled, batting .234. See, if he can't pick that up, then, it really isn't as much of a great trade for them as they are giving away in Skaggs, who could be a potential all-star. He did play in the Futures game. But all the teams, I think, really did fit their needs. Great trade all around. So, with that, we are going to head on over to the NBA. And we are going to start that with our score update, starting with the most exciting game of the day. Portland Trailblazers are taking on the Pistons at the what's it called? Blanking on the name. What is the Pistons?
Auburn Palace.
There we go. Palace of Auburn Hills. There we go. Oh, can't believe I forgot that. That's like my favorite stadium name. Well, that game went to overtime, and the Trailblazers won again, 111-109, led by LaMarcus Aldridge, who seems to be making a case for MVP. Then you have the Timberwolves, who started off hot but have struggled since. They beat the Grizzlies, who dropped to 10-13, a disappointing year for them. Kevin Love put up 30 points. Timberwolves win. Rockets taking on James McDaniels' Kings, and the Kings pulled off the upset, led by new addition Rudy Gay. The Warriors are losing right now, 2:13 remaining in the second quarter, by 9 to the Suns. The Pelicans up on the Nuggets by 5, and the Thunder up with 6:11 remaining in the fourth quarter, 96-80. Kevin Durant, another phenomenal game, 25 points, 8 rebounds tonight.
Yeah, and just now to go on to our standings really quickly, we're going to start with the Eastern Conference here. The Pacers leading the East with a 20-3 mark so far this season. They're trailed by 3 games by the Miami Heat, the two-time defending champions. Their record is 17-16, pretty solid for them. Atlanta has been also very solid, 12-12 on the year. They're the 3rd seed in the East. Boston is 11-14. They're somehow the 4th seed. Detroit is 11-14. They're the 5th seed. Charlotte's the 6th seed at 10-14. Toronto at number 7. They're 9-13. And then Chicago still in the playoff hunt at number 8 at 19-13 so far this year. But, geez, the Eastern Conference just very mediocre. The 3rd seed has a 500 mark. That just shows you how much better the Western Conference has been this season and how weak the East has been. But I guess it's just the power in the West this year, and we're going to start with Portland at number 1 in that conference, 21-4 mark. Just they've been the most surprising and most impressive team that I've seen so far this season, other than maybe the Pacers. Number 2, no surprises here. San Antonio, they're always consistent, 19-4 so far this season. Oklahoma City, just as good as advertised, 18-4 so far on the year. Clippers at 16-9, they're at number 4. Houston, 16-9 as well. They're at number 5. Phoenix been pretty surprising so far. They're in the 6th spot at 13-9, and then Denver is at 13-9 as well. Then Dallas concludes the playoff spot in the West with a 14-10 mark, and then you have my Lakers down there, pretty low at a mark of 11-12, but they're still kind of in contention for a spot for sure. A lot more basketball to be played, but that is your standings so far in this early NBA season.
Yeah, it's been a great thing. Blake, give me 1 second. I just got to fix something. My phone just died, so I got to put it out of charge. So just hang on there for a second for me.
Oh, yeah, no problem, Noah. So that's your NBA standings, everybody. But first of all, before we go on to our college basketball segment for this week, everyone, we're going to start off with just talking about how good the Pacers have been and just saluting the record that this team has at 20-3 on the season. Everybody thought Miami would be so strong, and yes, they've been very good, but they haven't been as good as the Pacers. The Pacers have just been off the charts on defense so far this year. Their statistics, they're obviously led by Paul George. They're led by also Roy Hibbert, and this is a team to be reckoned with come playoff time. They sure solved the formula last year for beating Miami. Took them to 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, but this is a team to be reckoned with, and watch out come playoff time. And now our guy Noah's back, everybody, after a little issue with his phone. But Noah, I think we're ready to move on to college basketball. Why don't you get us started on that?
Okay, so really quickly, of course, got to make sure that phone works because our callers come above everything. We got to make sure they can call in. So college basketball, we have had a crazy start to it, which sees a big shift in the rankings. But first off, we are going to start with the scores, and we had a close one today between Syracuse and St. John's, 2 former Big East opponents. Syracuse accept 68-63. backed by C.J. Fair, who is the real help in that game. Villanova knocked off LaSalle 73-52, and Mizzou escapes Western Michigan 66-60. So not many games today, but it was certainly a big day yesterday. So I will go over some of the big games there. Arizona knocked off Michigan 72-70. Michigan was leading much of that game. Oakland lost to Michigan State 67-63. And the big game of the day, UNC knocked off Kentucky 82-77. And I'm not going to go over all of the games, but those are the scores for this weekend. So Blake, do the rankings for us. Give us what's up in the rankings right now.
Yeah, I mean, just recently the polls were released, and we have Arizona. No surprise here; they're the number one team of the country. They're surviving versus what's been quite a disappointing Michigan team, but getting the road victory in a very tight game and exciting it was. They're at number one, followed by number two, Syracuse, another unbeaten. And then we have Noah's Ohio State Buckeyes at number three at 8-0. Another Big Ten team, Wisconsin, at number four, followed by a third consecutive Big Ten team, Michigan State, at number five at 7-1 on the season. They're followed by the defending champs, Louisville, at 8-1 on the year. Number 7 is Oklahoma State. Their record is 8-1 on the season. Duke's at number 8 with a 7-2 mark. Connecticut is at number 9 with a 9-0 mark. Like the sound of that. Villanova at number 10 with an undefeated 9-0 mark as well. Kentucky, preseason number 1. So far, they have not been as unbeatable as many thought they would, including myself. They have 2 losses already on the season. 2 losses to the same team, by the way. North Carolina just has been beating down this Kentucky team. Oh no, sorry about that. Their other loss was to Michigan State, who was defeated by North Carolina there. I made my mistake on that one. But Kentucky's been a little disappointing so far this year. Already 3 losses on the season. And then they're followed by Wichita State, a team that made the Final Four last season. They're undefeated. Kansas and Andrew Wiggins, they're sitting at number 13 right now. And then they're followed by Baylor at number 14, Oregon at number 15, Memphis at 16, Iowa State at 17, North Carolina at number 18, Florida at number 19, Gonzaga at number 20, 21 is Colorado, 22 is Massachusetts, undefeated team. Iowa is number 23, Missouri's number 24, also undefeated, and San Diego State rounds it out at number 25 with a 7-1 mark on the season. So that is your rankings for men's basketball. And now, just for time constraints, that is going to be all we have this week for men's basketball. But it's time for soccer. One of the ones I'm most excited for this week on the Blake and Noah show. I know we usually go by this quickly, but it's time for the World Cup, Noah. And I don't know if you have a song for us or anything, but something would fit to introduce the soccer segment this week, because it's the most exciting time, or one of the most exciting times in all the sports, is the World Cup.
Okay, so Blake, we have 2 options today, and it will be your choice. So we have Waka Waka, which was one of the official songs of the South Africa World Cup, or we have Waving Flag, which is another one of the official songs from the 2010 World Cup, considering the 2014 one hasn't been released. So are we going with Waving Flag today, or Waka Waka?
Gotta go with Waving Flag, just a classic song from the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. So let's go with that, Noah.
Okay, so let's pull this one up, and whenever it loads, let's just cross our fingers for no ads.
When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. And then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes back. Oh, born to a throne, stronger than Rome, but violent prone.
Gets me ready for soccer. I'm hyped now. I'm ready to go.
I'm hyped up too. I'm ready for that World Cup come this summer. Lots of stuff to talk about here, but Noah, you can just get us started off by talking about the recently released polls for who's going to be playing who, and there's 4 different teams that play and who play in the World Cup, and you have a total of 8 different pools. Noah, why don't you just get us started with talking about who's going to be playing what in the World Cup come this summer?
Well, of course, this is The World Cup is always highly anticipated, one of the most watched